Thank you, Peter. I'm a professional bin man, so my perspective is rather more practical. And my starting point really is that our resource efficiency targets are here to stay. In other words, we still have to meet our landfill diversion obligations. We still want to raise our recycling rates. We still want to get more energy out of our residual waste and heat as well. So if you look at Scotland and Wales, in fact, they've gone even further than England in being rather more aggressive in trying to get waste out of landfill. And of course, we've got the waste management agenda now merging with the carbon agenda as well. And you will see that in Scotland's zero waste strategy. So I don't see any material change in the direction in which our industry is going. Despite our difficult economic circumstances, we can't reverse the positions that we've taken over the last 5-10 years. We can't roll back on our recycling commitments or our commitments for getting recovered energy out of waste. So the issue really is that with the cost at the back of our mind, what can we do? The issue is not really what we can do less of, but what we can do more of, but cheaper and more effectively. And I've really got three things here that I'd like to put to you. Firstly, of course, if you're going to save on cost, it means you've got to do things faster. And if you look at our strategic planning system, it's very cumbersome, very complex, and very time-consuming. And we really need to sort that out because it's accumulated administration over the past 5-10 years. And I, for one, welcome the plan for our new government to have a look at our strategic planning system to see how it can be refined. It's only going to get worse because our drive to move even more waste out of landfill is going to put much more strain on our strategic planning system. But if we're not careful, our agenda for localism could well push in the opposite direction, because one way of saving costs is to take advantage of economies of scale. And when you start to narrow your decision-making boundaries, you inevitably start to potentially bring in inefficiencies and added cost. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out into our collection systems and, of course, into our treatment plants as well. Doing things faster also applies to our site-specific planning system. If you look at the case of Cornwall County Council, they reckon that they are going to be spending another 200 million more over the next 10 years because of delays in implementing their strategy. And of course, at the end of the day, that money is going to come out of Joe Public. So it's something that we have to get to grips with. There clearly is a sort of dysfunction, a disconnect, when we try and move from strategic planning to delivering infrastructure at the local level. Now, I don't have the answer, but it does seem to me that we really need to get out of this present impasse that we have, of almost everything, almost anywhere, almost of any description, is objected to. We need to really find new ways of trying to break this logjam. And one way would be to look at incentives at a local level where people or communities can actually get some benefit out of the facilities that we're going to host or they are going to host. Like, for example, getting lower cost energy or free hot water or green jobs or something like that. Finally, of course, the only way in the longer term that we're going to get on top and keep on top of the waste agenda is to get waste prevention up and running. We simply can't continue to grow waste the way in which we are and to expect us to solve all these issues that we've just been discussing. And that means, of course, talking to industry, it's talking to communities, something that we just started doing. So what does all this mean in terms of politics, polls, and opinion surveys? Well, as an abstract concept, I'm pretty sure that consistently the public has shown goodwill towards the government's waste agenda. But environmental goals and policies don't always match up, as we've seen over the debate over alternative weekly collections or even over direct charging. So clearly engaging positively with the public makes it that much easier for waste policies to be actioned. And we found that ourselves when we've had to roll out food waste collections, for example, or to go to alternative weekly collections. If it's properly done, it is accepted. If it's done in a hand-fisted way, it is not. So in the end, if we are successfully to tackle the issues that we've just discussed, we really need to have the backing of our communities. So community engagement is critical if you're going to move the waste agenda forward. But exactly how we get the community involved is really the million-dollar question. And as an industry, I think we've come an awful long way. If you look at how we were behaving 20 years ago, we were hunkering down in our bunkers, trying not to get noticed. We simply can't do that anymore because more and more we are being expected to provide heat, energy locally. We need to be there, we're very visible, and we really need to change the way in which we operate in relation to our communities. So, in effect, ultimately what we need to be doing is to de-demonize waste as a party political issue. There's still too many local votes in waste management. It needn't be so. If you look at almost right across Northern Europe, waste is really an issue that's an operational issue. It's been almost completely depoliticized. And if we're really going to move forward, this is what we have to do. So if the government moves even one iota towards trying to depoliticize waste, I think it'll be onto a winner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gev.